to the next episode of Fatso Radio, episode number 42. And I have a special guest for you all today. A good buddy, Stephen McKellar from way back east. I met Stephen, I want to say probably about at least 10 years ago. And Stephen, it's been a long time, my good friend, and welcome to the Fatso Radio, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, big guy. And it's been over 10 years, man. I've been back in God's country here in Nova Scotia for 10 years. So it's been probably like, oh, God, I don't even want to say it. Yeah, it's been a while.
So you probably never met my wife then, no. We were dating back then, but
yeah, you were dating back then. That's
okay.
like the total thing. I was like, oh my God, like that was your like, you're like, oh, I love her.
You got that girl? You got her?
That's anyway. You said it right. Like
I said it.
You said it. You said it. No, that's good, man. I'm happy for you.
That's awesome. Well, welcome to the show, buddy. And if you could just kind of give my listeners, and just to kind of set the stage as well, my listeners, I mean, they're from all over the world. Most of my listeners are Canadian, of course, from here in Kitchener. A lot of them are from back home in Sault Ste. Marie, but I really have them from all over the world, everywhere from Italy to India to Russia. And I think the main thing is that people are following along because, it's keto, it's low carb, high fat. And then really, I think it's just kind of my story as I'm not an expert. I always say that every episode, right? I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to giving you medical advice. I'm just going to giving you personal advice from me, Joe Blow. So I'll shut up and I'll let you kind of give your thing. And again, welcome, Steve.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. So yeah, I mean, I'm no expert, that's for sure. As far as it goes, like knowing Carlo, it was a number of years ago. I was born and raised here in Nova Scotia. I moved to Ontario to live with my aunt and work in a factory in Woodstock, Ontario. ViewTech, hey, way to go, ViewTech. It was good to me. I love that place. A lot of people are probably thinking, yeah, he's crazy. He didn't stay there long enough. But hey, anyway, I went to Conestoga College. Props to Conestoga. And then got a job. I was fortunate enough to get a job at RIM at the time when things were booming, and that's where I met Carlo. So worked there for a little bit, and that was that. But we all kind of moved on, went our separate ways, and it was only, I don't know, I guess recently when Carlo had started the I'd seen before he'd started Fatso Radio, I guess before I'm talking like you're right there, right? I can see you in my screen. Before you had started that, I noticed like the posts on the carnivore eating and keto and low carb, and I was doing that, but I shouldn't say I was doing it. My wife was doing it, and I was not even forced to follow suit. I'm not going to say that. I was just like, oh my God, like whatever she's doing is working like majorly. Nice. And if I can still have a few beer and do my thing and like do that and make it work, then I can. Now, mind you, beer's offside now. We all know that. But it at the time, it was like I was just astounded by not just how much and how quickly you can transform, especially in the beginning. Of course, we all know that. But physically, but like mentally and mood, and just like nothing phases you. It's like the house is burning down, you're standing up front like, hey, no big deal, it'll go out. But no, that was kind of my introduction to that, and then seeing you get into it, and it was like, you know what, it just, that to me, I hadn't seen even a picture of you in years, and then I was like, shit, like he really made a change. It's like, he made a change. You got the girl of his dreams. It's like, he's got it going on, right? So it must be something, maybe I am on the right path. Maybe I should listen to my wife. No, I was already listening to her, but that's just kind of how it went. And then I just sort of, I haven't listened to every one of the podcasts. I won't pretend to. I told you before we started to record, this isn't scripted. We talked for like a few minutes. Man. But I had told you, I was like, yeah, I'm going to listen to everyone. Then I'll be an expert. Carlo, I know your show. Sign on. It's like episode 41. I'm 42. Like, holy way I'm going to be able to catch up.
Yeah, this guy's not fucking around, is he?
Yeah, no, I guess I thought this was just like a couple of people. No, but it was cool to see, and there was a lot of just things that applied to me, right? Like instead of me having to Google articles or whatever, you're posting stuff, you're talking about things, and it's stuff that directly related to me and things that I had going on in my life, and whether it was what was going on in my life or whether it was something that I wanted to be going on in my life. It was relevant, and by that I mean when you're talking about going through hard times, or if you're cheating, it's like, I'm not gonna say cheating, it's just more or less eating things you shouldn't, but you do because it's basically like a drug. when you're doing that stuff, it's like, hey, you're not alone. It happens. People go through it, but
Absolutely.
it's like,
Yeah.
you can get over that. And it was that kind of stuff that I seen that was really like, hey, this is neat,
Awesome.
caught my attention, and I just sort of followed along since then. And here we
That's
are.
all. That's awesome, man. Well, it's funny because I mean, of course, probably because a lot of people know me, but I'm getting a lot of people like you, a lot of buddies like you, especially guys, right? Like you, my good buddy Scott Fitzsimmons, I talk about from back home, and a lot of guys that said, "Hey, man, you know," because it's easy, I think, sometimes to hear another guy saying, "You know what? We fucked up. Let's do this. Let's do that. I know you like your beer. I know you like your wings. I know you like your steak. You can have your steak and your wings." And guys are like, "Woof," their ears pop up. I go, "Really? This guy's not
Yeah.
full of shit, right?"
Then you throw in
Yeah,
bacon and it's all over, right?
exactly. And then the fact that I can butter anything, right? And my
Yeah.
daughter, 8-year-old daughter Lily, she has the phrase, "But everything's better with butter," and I'm like, "It's true. Everything's better
Yeah.
with butter." So it's like, and I'm getting a lot of that feedback, and it feels great to me, right? Obviously, because when I always say this, one of the biggest reasons why I'm doing this because this feeds me a lot. This gives me a lot of joy and a lot of love, knowing that I'm helping other people, right? And
Mhm.
it's awesome because guys like you, guys like my buddies, from back home, they're saying, "Hey, there's Carlo. I know that fucking guy. He's not." Full of shit. I've seen him cry, I've seen him laugh, I've seen him say stupid shit, I've seen him get in
Mhm.
trouble, right? He's just like me and you, right? You know,
Yeah.
and that's what I like to see as well, and that's why I really love having you on and having my buddies on because it's like this is the no bullshit. This perfect timing, no bullshit November, right? This is the no
Mhm.
bullshit. We're not
Yeah.
pretending to be anybody else. We just this is kind of from the heart and it's our personal experience. So in that I want to kind of get into that. Like, so how did you I know you kind of dabbled. You said your wife kind of got you into it, and how did you kind of play into it, and how did it work for you? Like, kind of what was that like? Did you kind of have ups and downs? Was it really tough at the
Oh
beginning?
yeah, I mean it wasn't.
I
I
mean,
mean, I'm not gonna
it's the
say
sugar
it
thing,
was.
right?
I'm not gonna say it was. I mean, it was tough, but at the same time, because I adopted, well, not even adopted, it was something I was doing all the time anyway, but exercise, because
Yeah.
that plays into it so much. And I don't even mean, let me, rewind a tiny bit here. When I say exercise, I don't mean like, go out and join your, nothing against it. If I could afford it, I'd do CrossFit too. It's super
Yeah.
cool, but I can't afford it. And I live in the middle of the woods. So all I'm saying is like, get out there and do something, like
Yep.
you say, and you say 20 20 20 30 30 30. What I used to do, like at my peak, and I can do it now, that's fine, but it's my thing was always 100 push-ups, and it doesn't have to be in one sitting, but it's just if you do 100 push-ups and 100 sit-ups and you run a couple times a week,
Yep.
how can you not be good, right?
Exactly. You're in
How can
fine
you
shape.
not be good?
That's true.
So I guess that was just how I started, was just being like, you know what, I'm going to try and eat lower carb. Yes, there was the cheats and there was the, okay, I did great Monday to Friday and I ate a bunch of chips
Oh
because
man.
sour cream and onion are delicious. And,
Yep.
that's what you do and you go through it. But what I found is that for me personally, the more like the stronger I got with, and when I say exercise again, it was like the quicker I felt myself bouncing up on those push-ups, and the stronger I felt my abs getting, and the more confident I got when you got out of the shower and you're like, hey, like,
Yep.
I don't just got to shave the hair to look like abs. Like I got a couple there. That's good.
Exactly. Nice.
When that starts coming along, you're like, this is the serious thing. This is
Yeah.
a serious thing, rather. Um,
It's true.
and the big
Real
thing is
results,
it's,
right?
well, and it's because that you're not doing, like, the conventional way to me of thinking always was, man, if I want to get jacked, I gotta be like in the gym, like I gotta be
Yeah.
doing it before work, or I gotta be doing it after work, or I gotta be a two-a-dayer and I gotta hold a protein shake in my hand and be drinking that steady.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
just what I gotta be doing to get to look like however I want it to look at the time, whatever that meant.
Yeah.
um but now it's like you kind of realize it's not about that. It's the better you eat, it's, I was exercising less than what I ever did in college when I was going to the gym every day and whatever. Like I'm running and doing push-ups and sit-ups, period. It's no joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it.
I
And for
know.
the first little bit, it was like not even that many push-ups and sit-ups and not even that much running. It was just eating better. And it was
Yeah.
like, it just changed me and it changed the way that I felt and it motivated me in a different way and it helped me to become more successful in my fitness goals and in some of my more personal goals, as a father, and some of my professional goals, in my professional career. So for me,
Wow.
it was making the change was, yeah, it was a little difficult, but it was easier for me because my wife was doing it and she was making all the meals. So I should have started
Nice.
with that. This is my first podcast. My bad.
No problem. No problem.
I'm not used to being recorded, but I mean, it would, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have, I would just wouldn't have done it because she
Wow.
did, like, the meals are made. Like, that's the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
thing.
That's a
Like, if
huge
you
thing.
can figure out to get past those hurdles and you have somebody to support you, and if you don't, you're still going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's why planning.
don't listen to me. You know,
Exactly, and that's why
people
I
are
don't
strong.
interrupt.
You'll
That's why
do it.
planning. That's why planning is so important, right? Have that
Yeah.
routine or have plan out your meals. But yeah, go ahead. Like you were saying, like and with your wife, that's a huge. She gave you that boost, right? Like that start, I guess.
Yeah, she should be, I mean, she should be the one talking all about keto. I mean, she's the one that, gets the book that was released at Costco at the time. It was like the huge thing, and she knew the science behind it, right? And she was really
Yeah.
studying that, and that's what got me. So
Awesome.
as granted, I went to my first osteo appointment today, so
Ah,
good on me. Good on
good.
me. It was a good time. But for me, it was like, most of the time, oh, do this or drink this tea and it's going to help you. And I'm like, oh, come on, like, whatever.
Yeah.
Right. But with this, it was like, I mean, it was just fact. Once I tried it, it was just one of the examples is, do you want to run on dirty gasoline or just
Yeah.
gasoline, or do you want to run on jet fuel? Yeah, you're
Yeah.
fine running on gas. That's fine. People get
Yeah.
by, they run a long time on gas,
That's
long
true.
time. But
Yeah.
it's just not as efficient, and you're not like a firecracker. And it's like,
True.
it's not that meat and cheese and all that great bacon and all that good stuff is free, but if it's out there for the taking and it costs you less or an equal amount as what your dirty gasoline does, why don't you want to be a rocket man? Like,
Yeah.
that's, anyways, that's kind of how it was for me. And I learned all that because of my wife and because of her constantly educating me, and me rolling my eyes and saying, oh yeah, whatever, yeah, read your book, or what are you doing over there? Are you on your phone reading about keto? Are you? And I'm like giving
Yeah.
her a hard time. And now it's like I'm reaping the benefits of it. And
Yeah.
as we all know, it's easy. Well, for the most part, I think it's easier for men with their metabolism and whatnot. So it's like she's crushing it, and it's like I'm able to get results quicker, and it's not fair. So
Yeah.
props to her. She's
Yeah.
sleeping right now. I won't wake her up to high five her or anything, but yeah, that's how it was for me. That's how it
That's
started.
awesome.
It was because of her, and I mean, it's been a good experience. It doesn't come without its downsides, but it's been great.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll tell you, your wife and my wife should talk sometime because my wife's been hearing me talk about this for years, and I gotta say, sometimes I think she knows way more than me because she actually retains the stuff. Sometimes I just kind of say it, and then my daughter's picking it up too, so it'll definitely be interesting.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, so what, like, I don't remember even when we were working together, I don't remember you saying that necessarily had a big weight problem. Did you have a weight problem when you were young, or did you ever fluctuate a lot, or
Oh
'cause, like,
yeah, I
you
mean,
did a lot? Yeah,
well,
yeah. Tell me about
yeah,
that.
but I carried it well. I carried it
Yeah.
well. That
Okay.
was the thing.
Like, I was a chubby kid too, but I
I'm
was always athletic. Was that
yeah. I
something?
mean, I'm what am I? I'm not even tall now. I mean, geez,
Yeah.
there's kids in grade 5 that are my height. But I'm 6'1".
Okay.
So I always kind of just and just I could just carry it well. That's just that was the easiest thing to me. But a little heavier in the chest, a little like,
Yeah.
oh, do I need a bra? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Which would have been fine too. But for me, it was just like, I was uncomfortable with that kind of thing. And that's what I really noticed was it's like that, you just kind of shrink away. But I wasn't, I would say, yes, by standards, I was obese,
Oh,
definitely.
really? Okay.
That's what they'd say. At my heaviest, I was 260.
Okay.
So yeah,
Oh,
or
yeah.
258, 260. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now I don't know, maybe 200.
Okay.
If what I should be, probably 190.
Who
But
knows? That number is crazy because it's funny. The more I look at things like BMI, the more I realize that it's so useless. It's
yeah,
useless.
it's really what
But
you feel, right? Like,
exactly, yeah. And then body fat percentage is probably a better indicator. But like you said too, functional. Can you move? Can you do 10 push-ups? Can you do 20 push-ups, right? Um, that's interesting. So then once you kind of got into it, you mentioned earlier that you had some kind of fitness goals, right? So tell me about that. Like one of the first things that I struggled with talking to people about low carb, especially people that were runners, was how are you going to run on low carb?
hmm
So tell me something like that. You still run, right? You've
hmm
done marathon or half marathons, have you? And was
yeah, I
that low
ran a
carb
couple
or
half
high carb?
marathons. Yeah, I
Okay,
ran
now was
actually
that
my first half marathon. I was going to Conestoga,
okay?
and training by myself, of course. And yeah, the Mississauga half marathon. That was my
Oh,
first half
wow.
marathon. And then I ran a bunch of 5Ks, 10Ks, whatever. I ran the Blue Nose half marathon here in Nova Scotia.
Nice.
One of the first years I moved back, and then I'd always wanted to run a full. It's just something I wanted to do for myself, and went to train one year, and I got sick, and it just didn't happen. And then
Wow.
yeah, I guess I had kind of started on the low carb thing, let's say like in the fall and leading into the fall, end of summer, and I was starting to dial it in and see results. And I'm like, you know what? Now's the time. Like, I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
And so I made it a goal to at the end of, I guess, the end of 2018 leading into 2019, just to kind of keep running. I've always liked running, but like I never won any of the races. Like I was a distance runner, but it was just like because I wasn't fast. Like I was just
Yeah.
tall and kind of awkward, and I could just run far, and I liked it, and that's what I like to
Yeah.
do. And so
Nice.
anyway, I made that my goal, and it just happened that I was eating keto along the way, and it wasn't even until I started running like farther distances, like on your long runs, which mine happened to be on Saturdays. Some people do them on Sundays. Whatever. My training plan was on Saturdays, and it wasn't until the really longer runs where I was like, huh, like because I don't even bring water unless it's like 10 or 15 kilometers.
Okay.
It's just the way it is. And so it started to get like these longer runs, like 20 kilometers, whatever it was. And I'm like, I'm going to have to bring something. And then I started thinking like, wait a minute, most people use these gel packs, or most people
Yeah.
use whatever. Anyway, I could go on, but the net of it all is that for me, all I ever brought was I used at Costco those Himalayan. No, Costco's not sponsoring us. Hey, it'd be great if
No,
they sponsored you,
they
right? Hey,
would.
if they want
Yeah.
to give you all kinds of free meat, their steak's pretty good. Uh,
Absolutely. Tell
but
them. Tell me.
yeah, give them a call, Costco. Come on, call Fatso Radio. But the Himalayan pink salt
Yeah.
is what I use from Costco, and then Mio with electrolyte. So it
Perfect.
was like no carb, whatever it was. But basically, you're making your own Gatorade, and
Yeah.
that's
Exactly.
that's what I used and what I will still use for electrolytes.
That's
And that was it. Like I literally, the morning I ran the marathon, I woke
wow.
up and I think I had couple eggs, a bunch of bacon. For me, like I had an avocado. It was just something I did.
Yeah.
Had a bulletproof coffee, like just loaded up.
Nice.
Went in, had a fat bar, drank some water, and had my electrolytes, and away I went. And I drank
Wow.
like a couple bottles of the water and salt along the way. Grabbed a few cups of water, but for the most part, it's like it doesn't take like anyway. Back to this way of eating, like you
Yeah.
start to know your body so much. Like I knew what I needed, and I realized like why are these people eating all these gels and all this carbs and all this whatever? And it's because if your body's running on that, you need that. It was like
Yeah.
this was like jet fuel slash diesel fuel. Like it's lasting longer. Like and not like I can't even believe it. I'm like, really? Like, should I be
I
tired?
know.
Like, am I gonna like is there something wrong here? But it's just that was the way it was. So
Wow.
yeah, I guess incorporating that into my running, and there wasn't a whole lot of articles out there. There's a few out there, obviously, and I'm sure if I dug deeper on the internet, you'd find them on keto and running. So you just kind of went with it because of the way you felt, and that's hard to do.
It
I
is.
find in this day and age because there's so many people that they're that are not against keto or whatever, but it's just it's not in their wheelhouse. It's not
Yeah.
what they're all about,
It's
and they
true.
don't get it, or some of them get it and they're like, all right, this is not going to last forever. Oh, this is just a
Yeah.
fad or
A
it's whatever.
fad.
And it's like,
Absolutely. That's the most
I'm
common
not
thing. Eh?
doing this because it's cool. I'm not doing this
No,
because
it's
I'm
not that cool,
small. Like
actually.
yeah, no, it's terrible. I always tell people, no, I wouldn't recommend it because you're going to see what it's like to feel awesome. And then you're never going to feel the same. You're going to feel like this
Yep.
slight little cloud over you when you eat your kid's Halloween candy or when you fucking say, hey, I want to have a couple of handfuls of Pringles because Pringles are good. Then you're going to do
Yep.
it. Go the fuck, go ahead,
Absolutely.
do it. Do
You're
it.
absolutely right.
But
Yep.
you're going to be a little cloudy and you're going to be like, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Or maybe I'm going to do it again tomorrow night and then I'm going to bitch about it the next day. And eventually, like 3 or 4 months from then, I'm going to start exercising a little bit more and I'm going to start eating better and I'm going to get away from it. I said to my wife tonight, it was funny. This is embarrassing, but I said, hey, you know what? I'm coming out of the funk. You know how I'm coming out of the funk? Because I had the chicken nugget in my mouth. I chewed it enough to taste it and I took it out and I threw it on the plate. I said I
Good
didn't do
boy.
it. It's like
Good
kids
boy.
leftovers, man. Kids leftovers. I got 4 kids:
I know. That's
7-year-old,
right.
6-year-old, 4-year-old, 2-year-old, all
Oh, that's
girls.
awesome.
They're
Oh,
great. They're
that's
awesome.
amazing.
I love them to death, but man, they leave a lot of scraps laying around, and this
Yeah.
dog is hungry, man. I'm telling you. So if you don't got
That's
the
like
right
my
things in your house, look out.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I love it now because, like I said, my I have two daughters as well, 8-year-old and 4-year-old,
Yeah, that's
and
right.
they both eat me, and I love it. They're the youngest likes eggs a little bit more than the oldest, but the oldest now will fight me for a steak. She'll fight me for the fat of the steak. She'll fight me for a rib, and I'm like, that's amazing. So I know they're listening. But the thing is too is like a lot of people like meat. It's a natural thing. I mean, we've been eating meat for millions and millions of years, right? So it is very natural, and I think like you said earlier, a lot of people, even if they're not resistant to it consciously we're programmed, right? We have conditioning in us that, the decades of the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, even the 2000s, they were saying, fat was bad, cholesterol is bad, eat all, don't eat this stuff, eat low fat. And at the same time, we're having this mind screw because our grandparents ate meat and salami and sausages and cheese,
Yep.
and they lived to be 90 and 100 years old, and they were working in the farm until they were 80. So at the same time, we knew that old world knowledge, but we had a hard time kind of putting it all
Mm,
together. I think that's the biggest thing. So that's amazing, man. You did a full marathon keto, right?
mm,
And
yep.
then after that, have you basically been keto? Oh, what? Sorry, when was the marathon?
Marathon was a different month this year, and they're changing it back. What was it? June? June? Like
Okay,
sometime in June? Okay,
of
I
last
should
year.
know this because it was my first. Oh yeah, June of this year.
Oh,
Yeah, June of
nice.
this year. Yeah, June of this year, and then went into summer. Took a bit of a like. It's just natural to. I didn't take a break. I still ran like once, a couple times a week or whatever, but took a bit of a break from running a bit, and then just spent time in the summer doing our thing
Yeah,
and whatever, and then just I'm not gonna say fell off the wagon, but a few things
just
came up,
yeah, for
few
sure.
whatever, a few
Life
family
happens.
family things and life happens, and
Yeah,
you just sort of, and then work gets busy and you sort of fall off. But the
yeah,
thing is that's important to remember is that you can say all these things, which I'm saying right now, but it's still no excuse, because the bottom line is that you feel worse thinking about not acting on what you're knowingly going offside with. You're feeling worse. Like it's easier on you, believe it or not, to just do
stay.
what you want, do what you know, not do what you know is right, because it's like, hey, you can live, you only live once, YOLO,
Yep.
whatever people are saying these days. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's like, all right, you're gonna feel good, you're gonna feel shitty. So like, whatever. One of the things that really really got me was with you in episode 41 on No Bullshit November, when you said about sugar being like a drug and not being like alcohol. And here's an analogy that I want to use. So one of them, to compare it to listeners, people always say like, oh, how come it's so hard? They say you should drink 8 glasses of water a day. That's so difficult. Hey, if it's an evening and you're partying, is it difficult to drink 8 beer? Probably not, right?
No.
So here's an analogy kind of similar to that. And this is what got me. And it was only after hearing that I thought, like, you know what? This is legit. And this is why I kind of like now associate sugar like a drug. This reason: time to go to bed, shutting things down. Everybody's up there asleep. Your wife's brushing her teeth, and you're getting ready to shut things down and go to bed. On the counter, there's whatever there is: kids' Halloween candy, squares, wafer crackers, which are delicious, whatever it is. If they're just sitting there, right? So they're sitting there, and what do? You're looking at them, whatever. Um, you go over there and you stuff your face with as many as you can get. Then you grab a couple packs of fruit snacks, because that's from Costco. They're not going to miss those. There's a whole
That's
bunch
right.
more. So you drive a couple of those in your cheeseburger lager, and then you go to bed. And this is the
Yep.
thing. Then you go to bed.
Yeah.
So okay. So we're keeping up. We're going to keep our train of thought here with this analogy. You've seen all this sugar right before you go to bed, and you can't help yourself. You go over there, you drive it into your guts. Then you go right to bed, like without reaping any benefit, like other than having gut rot and probably nightmares. Who knows? But you do that, then you go to bed. So my thing is, okay, if we treat these things and we say, okay, like that's a drug, because that's like kind of aggressive, like an aggressive attitude and
It
aggressive
is.
behavior to have with food. It's like if I did the same thing with alcohol, I would be a fucking alcoholic, big time,
Yep. Yep.
because I'm going upstairs, I spot a beer, a half beer, maybe
Right.
even maybe a few bottoms of beers. You see
Yeah.
whatever you see on the counter. If I run over there and I drive that into my guts, and then I go to bed, it's like, why did you need that? Now, granted, you could be at the hunting camp and buddy snores, or or, lady next to you snores, whatever it is, whoever you're there with, they're snoring, you want to drink a bunch of booze, fall asleep. That's a different story. I'm just saying, if it's Wednesday and you're going up the stairs, you're driving candy in your guts for no reason, you're already full from eating cheese chips, then, you got a bad relationship with sugar, and you should fucking, maybe not talk to that person anymore.
Well, and it's funny, the more people I talk to about the sugar thing, the more times I hear that it's actually uncommon to not it's uncommon to not be addicted to sugar, I think, because it's the odd time I'll hear someone say, "Nah, sugar doesn't do a thing for me." I'm like, "Really?" It's like a demon, right? It's like a vacuum, right? For most
tell
people
them to
I
leave
know.
it alone for a month then. And like, that's my thing. Oh, it doesn't do anything to me. Okay, well, if it doesn't do anything, then leave it alone for a month. And surely that's not an issue. Oh, then it's like, then you start to realize it's in everything and how much, like, simplify your life.
Or you touch on another point, which is it's kind of this healthy user kind of bias where we think we're doing these healthy things. We think we always eat healthy things, but people actually forget that the shit that we actually do eat until you start journaling it or you start kind of, keeping track of it. And I don't even think people have to kind of be super, super, super Nazi like, keep track of it like that. But it is worthwhile to have a look at, what are you eating for the day, for the week, because especially if you're someone who likes to snack. And one of the things that I've liked about keto, especially now with carnivore, is that it's turned me away. I'm not a snacker anymore. Right? I don't graze anymore throughout the day. I'm not looking for snacks all day long, which is totally different because I've done that my whole life.
That's
nice. That's nice. Liberating.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally liberating because now I feel like I'm not driven by sugar. I'm not controlled by it. And that's why another reason why I think it is a drug for me. Not everybody, but for me it is a drug because it holds a lot of power. What else holds power over you? Something like that, right? So yeah, it's definitely, and then also once you've gone through a transition, right? Once you've kind of converted, and that's why a lot of people, unless they've tried keto and really, really tried keto, it's very hard for them to see. It's very hard for a lot of people to see what it's like on the other side. Once until you're on the other side, I guess. But sometimes when I say that, I feel like I'm saying, it's like an addict looking out. But it is. How else can I say that?
Yeah.
But what do you think about that? Like, do you think that, like, I mean, it's funny. In a few weeks, I have a guest coming on who actually who knows a lot about sugar and a lot about sugar addiction as well. But so you would definitely agree that it is an addiction, right? It's
well, I mean,
not.
I would think
I
would think that's safe. I would think that that's safe to say. I mean, it's like anything, right? Like anybody can have any different argument. Like it all depends on the person, it depends on this, and it depends on that. But if we go by standards and whatever, it's probably not great for you. Like if you, and the thing is that it's not that it's not for some people, like sugar and feeding yourself that way, it's fine. And it used to be more fine because people were more active. And this is a thing that this is another thing that I like to kind of talk about is that I'm not saying everybody should be keto, whatever. I'm saying like, hey, before you knock it, go 30 days and just try it out. And I think you'll love your life and that's cool. And if you don't, then whatever, go back to what you're doing. But all I'm saying is like, people aren't burning enough calories today and they aren't burning off enough of the carbs that they're consuming. So it's like, you're putting too much. It's like stand there at the gas pumps and holding the trigger on. It's fucking gas spewing everywhere all over the gas station. Next thing somebody lights a cigarette and then you're all gone. It's like, oh my God. Anyway, it doesn't got to get that savage, but I'm just saying, like, that's what you're doing. You're standing there. And it's like, you have enough. You have enough carb. You have enough fuel right now to run for the day. The problem is your fuel, it's not that fantastic. And it's not reading right on your meter and telling you, hey, we're still full. It's saying like, oh yeah, maybe put some more gas in. Oh shit, it spilled out. Okay, well, no. And it's almost like the gauge is broken. It's like, man, you have enough right now. It's just dirty energy, right? And it's like,
it's funny.
That's my opinion, but
it is. No, and you're absolutely right. It's actually funny. And what I've researched and what I've learned a lot is that it's for a lot of people, especially people that go into the area close to diabetic or even like, insulin resistance, which is before diabetes, is that they're actually their body's having an energy shortage actually because they can't use that glucose efficiently because their body has had so much high insulin for so long now that all that glucose, like it's used to having a high level of glucose, right? So always at a high level of insulin, and when your insulin level is high, you can't burn fat. You literally can't burn fat when your insulin level is high. So if you're burning sugar all day long, or if you're consuming sugar all day long, your insulin level is always really high. You really can't burn any of that fat. But when you're in keto, right, your sugar level is the same. Your insulin level is low. You're burning fat all day for fuel. It's actually quite difficult to put on weight. You can you can put on weight keto for sure. Eat a lot of cheese, eat a lot of sour cream, you'll probably gain weight. Everything I read seems to point towards dairy. If you want to gain weight, eat dairy, which is okay.
Man, I eat a ton of it,
Yeah,
ton
I
of
mean,
it.
I eat
But
cheese. I love cheese, and it's great. For me, like something like sour cream, I've noticed can help my weight loss. But cheese is great. All kinds of
yeah,
meat, eggs are great, and all that stuff. But it's funny. It's like the people who you would think have a lot of body, people who have a lot of body fat, like me. Perfect example. 330 pounds a couple years ago, right? I had tons of body fat. You translate the body fat I had into calories, usable calories. I had thousands and thousands of calories, tens of thousands
yeah,
of calories, but my body couldn't tap into it because I had high insulin levels all the time because I was eating a high carb diet. So if your insulin levels high, I couldn't tap into that. And it's so interesting now that I don't eat that sugar. It's like it's I have to actually remember to eat. It's crazy, dude. Like,
yeah,
look at me, Carlo. I used to be 330 pounds, and now
yeah,
I have to
yeah.
like remind myself to eat. They're like,
Are
who
you
is this
doing the
fucking guy?
coffees? What are you doing for breakfast? What are you doing for
Uh,
breakfast?
Breakfast, I don't. I actually only have one coffee a day now. I used to be 5 or 6 coffee a day back in the old days. Now I just can't handle it. Too much caffeine just drives me crazy. And I think the caffeine itself, you dump a lot of electrolytes with caffeine too, right? It's a diuretic, and every time you pee out, you're going to lose your electrolytes. So I was finding that I was losing a ton of electrolytes.
That's
So I just
probably
kind of
what's happening to me.
yeah, I was actually having cramps, to be honest with you. Leg cramps, or I was like, I'm in kung fu, right? So doing a lot of kicks, and I was having these leg cramps, a lot of quad cramps. I was like, what's going on? And then I upped my salt level like a lot, and it fixed a lot of that stuff. Um, but yeah, it's just the electrolytes or the caffeine too. So once I lowered the caffeine to about 1 cup a day, but I was doing bulletproof coffee for a while. I still do cream in my coffee. I buy heavy cream, so 35% heavy
Oh
whipped
yeah,
cream,
no
and
other way.
yeah, exactly. And but yeah, butter. Sometimes I'll put grass-fed butter, whatever. But even black sometimes. For a while, I was doing black, and then I was finding it was really hard on my teeth, so I started adding cream for that reason. But other than that, yeah. What your bulletproof coffee? Is that what you still do, or what?
Yeah, and that's still just like I don't know. It's just like kind of a religion here now.
Yeah.
It's sort of how when I think about it, I guess I think about that being like the segue into like it's like if you had that when you started your day, it's like man, I can't eat all this like coconut oil and butter and all this fat and then do a bunch of crazy other stuff that I'm not supposed to be doing because it's like
Yeah,
that's not gonna work. Like I'm
exactly.
gonna clog up the arteries or something, right?
Yeah, you're
So
not. Yeah.
it's yeah. So we're still having it now. I've started to go from having, it's like you have a bulletproof coffee, and then it's like because we work from home, so you get a
Both
pot of
here.
coffee and then go all the time. It's unlimited.
Wow.
It's like you're just
Nice.
hammering on it. It's great. But it's like you have your bulletproof coffee for the first one. You don't quite finish it. You top it up a little more coffee. You're still drinking the cream, whatever. You make one more with a little more cream.
Yeah.
Then it's like, man, you kind of had quite a bit of cream, so
Yeah.
maybe you shouldn't have done that. So for me, I'm just sort of scaling back and having still one a day. But that's just something that we do because sometimes you don't really eat or you might not eat a big lunch. Or for me, it was when you were running. So back to the exercise
Yeah.
and just the fact that running burned so many calories for me because it was always minimum 5-6 kilometers minimum.
Yeah.
um you burned a fair amount of calories, so when you're not eating that many
Well, and
to
you're
begin
not
with,
like,
then
and sorry to interrupt, but you're not like really, really lean either. So you got a body weight. You're 200 pounds. You're saying, right?
yeah,
Around or
yeah,
no? Yeah. So you're not a 140 pound guy running around.
no.
So yeah. So you're burning a lot of calories. Yeah. You're
Yeah, well, and then it's just like where we burn wood, so you're cutting firewood, you're piling firewood, or you're going out moving things around, or fixing things, or doing stuff, or helping people, or whatever. So it's like it's an
yeah.
active lifestyle, I guess is what I'm saying. Um, and then you layer in running on top of it. It was for me, it's like if you're in that zone and you're running 3 days a week, 4 days a week, whatever, and you're even half dialed in to your eating. I mean, you're good.
Yeah.
You're using the fuel that you're putting in your body, and that was the easiest way for me to think about it is, and I still do now. It's okay if I'm putting this in to my body. How long is it going to take me to burn through this? And there's certain things that hey, I'm going to burn through this easy, and there's certain things you're not. You take, for example, I seen a video, Joel Salatin. Lots of people follow
Yeah.
him. Super, smart dude in the farming world.
Yeah. Love that guy.
We raise a few chickens and stuff here, and grew up on a beef farm, and we eat a lot of I guess you call it organic, but we know where it comes from, family, friends, whatever,
Good beef.
or grow it yourself. Anyway, he as far as what you're putting in your body, he did in one of his videos, he showed it. He said, you know, he took bread, for example, and hey, I'm talking about bread, and this is a keto guy, so here we go.
Yeah.
But he took bread, like just from a regular farmer's market. Then he took bread from the store, like a regular, you know, white loaf of bread, whatever, and he made one of those bread balls, squeezed it
Yeah.
all up good and hard,
Yeah.
right? Then he
Glue.
shoved it into a pile of manure, into a pile of chicken shit, and left it for whatever it was, week, 2 weeks, whatever, and pulled out the bread, or dug out where the bread was from the market, and it was pretty much composted. It was eaten up in the chicken shit. Then he dug out this bread that was balled up, that was, you know, the white bread, and it was kind of like those videos you see where a buddy leaves a McDonald's in his store. Nothing against McDonald's, man. They do
Yeah.
bunless
Hey. Yeah.
McDoubles with chicken sauce and stuff. Hey,
They
McDonald's,
do
they're
me
right on.
proper. Yep.
But
They
I'm
do
just
me
saying,
right.
for most people to relate, it's like,
Yeah.
hey, why does this bun still look the same? Or why is it not whatever? It's like, man, it can't be real. But he took this, looks where this bread is all balled up, and it's kind of like the same. It's not really broken down. And so the point
Wow.
that he was making, though, was, man, if this is not going to break down in this environment, you know,
Yeah.
how does your body break it down? And if it does, like, how much energy is put into doing something like that?
Yeah.
Just because it's not, and again, we're talking about two of the same products, bread. We're talking about two of the same things.
Right.
So it's, you know, it's kind of about, again, knowing what you're putting in your body. So back to, hey, this isn't supposed to be everybody better be keto, or we're never talking to you again. It's like, just think about it every now and again. Or it's like, if
Yeah.
you ate McDonald's yesterday, maybe try and not do that today to give your body a chance to digest whatever it digested, right?
Yeah.
And anyway, it's but that was kind of a cool analogy that I seen. That was like, you know what, that's legit. Like, that's
Yeah.
something that I can relate to. So
Absolutely. And I can relate to as well what you were saying about kind of feeling better and you know, like getting out and exercising more, and about the diet being so important, because it's funny when I the most of my weight loss, I want to say, was mostly by diet and a little bit exercise. I'm actually upping my exercise game now because I feel better. I have more energy, right?
I
And
noticed that with your push-ups. I'm like,
yeah,
oh, 20, 20,
and
20, 10, 10, 10. I'm like,
like
50,
50,
50,
50,
50. Oh,
50.
you get a little spring in those push-ups now. I'm fucking
So, and
around.
that's the thing, right? So it's like, and you know, and I feel good. Like I said, I'm 41 years old. I mean, I wasn't doing 50 push-ups 15 years ago. So like, great, right?
I
I
know
feel
what you
doing.
mean.
And so that's the thing. And now that I do feel better, now that I can perform better, now it's like, now when I do push myself, it's, I'm getting more for my push than I used to get. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like when I used to work, I used to lift weights 5 days a week at one time, and I could never get results the way I'm getting now. I can lift once a
No.
week. And which I don't, but as far as diet, like I was lifting weights once a week, or sorry, 5 days a week, running a little bit, walking a lot, and then trying to do all kinds of elliptical cardio. Couldn't lose a pound years ago.
Yeah.
280 pounds for like a decade doing that. Now I hit keto and carnivore, especially, dude. Let's get into carnivore later too. But now that I'm carnivore, it's like I don't even have to work out. Like it's almost like I have this residual muscles from 20 years ago, which is now I'm just kind of ignited. Now it's back in the game. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Like, what do you
Yeah.
think? Like,
No,
is that
it's,
right?
yeah, no, I mean, that's a fair statement. That's more than fair. And I think that if anybody were to give it a try, and again, it's back to, anybody can listen to this, anybody can make comment and say, hey, no, this, that, and the other thing. Hey, if you did it and it didn't work for you, then right on. But if you didn't give it a shot, then
Yeah.
it's hard to say. So really, it's like, you know, you're listening because you kind of think this is true and you want to try it too.
Yeah.
But for me, I mean, I haven't tried like full carnivore yet, but I get it. Like, I can understand by, you know, feeling the way I felt with going such a low carb, like very minimal carbs. Like, we're talking like under probably 26 a day, like
Oh
under
yeah.
20 even. And
Yeah.
some days, you know, barely any. And plus, you know, you factor in what you're burning off when you're running 15, 16 kilometers that same day. It's like,
Yeah.
anyway, you're in a good place. And that felt good. But I think that the other thing that folks need to think about is that, like you said, it started with, like, you lost most of it because of your eating habits, and because, like, you found a new way to enjoy food, and you have a different relationship with food,
Yeah.
and you specifically had, you know, a bit of a separation with sugar. Like, that's the way it
Absolutely.
is, you know,
Yeah. It was rough
major
actually.
separation. But
Yeah.
it's, you know, but it happened, and it's like, now there's no denying the fact that you feel better, and this is what it's about, and
Yeah.
this is what I it just, to me, it's like, I don't want people to forget. It's not like, oh, what are you doing? Oh, you're trying to be cool. Oh, you could stand to put some more weight on. It's like, yeah, this is the same people that tell you when you're fat that,
Yeah.
you could stand to lose a little weight. And I'll say, yeah, it's the same shit. So it's like, listen, people, whether you're like, think you're obese, or you are obese, or whatever you are right now, whether you are, or whether you're right where you think you should be, or whatever, people are always going to have their
Yeah.
opinions rather. So you really truly do need to go with how you feel. The scale doesn't really matter. It's super cool to jump on if you go
Yeah.
like, hey, here's a challenge. Hide your scale. Actually, no, jump on it
Yeah.
at the end of a month, fucking hide it, then
Yeah.
go keto, then jump on it at the end of the other month. Use it like that. Just
Yeah.
do that. Don't
Yeah.
jump on it every day, because we all know you fluctuate up or down. So
Yeah.
anyway, it really is about how you feel. And again, I mean, I'm with you. Like, I just feel better, and there's
Yeah.
just no denying that. But I guess my question is for you, um, talk about going, because I'm not there. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not yet. So I mean, I can't comment on it. But
Mm.
what happened when you went from like keto, low carb? Because I still do, like, broccoli covered in
Yeah.
bacon and cheese, or cauliflower rice, or well, I mean, pork rinds you could still do. I
Yeah.
mean, different things like that. Still have the odd orange or something if it's laying around. I want some fuel, whatever. But talk about carnivore. Like, what
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, it's
What's
interesting
the
because
what's the difference?
yeah, so for me definitely
It's a huge
carnivore,
difference, but
yeah, for me carnivore was a natural progression from keto, and I'll tell you why. Because as soon as I went keto, I was like, okay, salads and meat. That's easy for me. I'm a guy about simplicity. I want simple rules. What can I eat? Any kind of meat, any kind of salad, and any kind of vegetables, really, right? Except root vegetables. So that's kind of the rule I had. I was having
yep.
salads and meat every day, 2 meals a day. Lunch I was having salad and meat, or veggies and meat, and supper I was having either a salad and steak. Same idea every day, every day. Doing that for a while, I lost a bunch of weight. Probably, I wouldn't say probably almost 80 or 90 pounds that way, right?
hmm
And then maybe even 100 almost. And then I want to say that I started kind of evaluating. I'm going, and I'll just be graphic for my listeners have heard everything, but I realized that I'm eating a big salad, right, with meat on it, and then I'm seeing part of that salad in the toilet, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not very short after. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is going on? Am I just passing all this through me, right?
It's like
But yeah,
corn, the visiting
exactly.
food.
Exactly. You don't process anything except maybe the sugar. But yeah,
Yeah.
and so I was like, wait a second, spinach, kale, all this stuff that is supposed to be good for us, right? All this fiber, all this stuff. But I was hesitant because fiber. Everybody says you need fiber, you need vitamin C, all this stuff. So there's a couple of things. Two big things for carnivore that I was concerned about was fiber and vitamin C. So we'll talk about that. But it was pretty natural for me. I said, well, I did actually January 2018, last year, January, there was basically a World Carnivore Month every January. Dr. Sean Baker does it. So I'm like, I'm going to try carnivore for a month. I did butter and ground beef and eggs for the whole month. And I want to say it's one of the best months I've ever felt in my life. Up until
Really.
today. I still feel good now doing it, but I felt great. I was like, that's it. Fuck vegetables. And I like vegetables, and I still said fuck vegetables. I'm one of those guys that I love everything, right? You can
Yeah.
put whether it's cheese on it, whether it's anything, even if it's not cheese. I just loved it with salt. I loved it with anything. So as soon as I said I did that 1 month, no vegetables, I'm like, oh, what's gonna happen? My digestion was better. So listen to this. Apparently, you don't need to go shit 4 times a day. I thought
Yeah.
that.
Allegedly.
I
Allegedly.
thought that growing up. Like I thought that it was pretty. You don't need to do that. And if you go once a day and it's regular on schedule, that's actually ideal, apparently.
Yeah.
Right? And if it's nice, well formed. So my digestion got fixed overnight. Actually, first when I went keto, my digestion got fixed. I didn't even know I had a digestion problem when I was eating carbs. Turns
I
out I was
know, eh?
all kinds of bloatedness, all kinds of IBS type issues, all kinds of shit. Turns out I did. Now I got rid of all that. But when I went keto, I was like, oh my God. I was like, when you first went keto, you're like, okay, my midsection feels lighter. I don't feel bloated. Almost little tightness
Yeah.
feeling. I felt even more of that when I went keto. I was like, wow, my digestion. And I went from eating twice a day to mostly feeling like eating once a day, which was
Yeah.
really interesting. So I'm
Or
like,
it's like
one,
skipping the supper. Like I would always like if you're having anything, like you might have a bit of lunch and skip the supper just to have like halloumi in the evening or something like that,
exactly.
right? Like
Yeah, or
that's
some
just
sardines in a can, something. Yeah, like some
whatever. Yeah.
smoked oysters or anything like that, right? Some kind of cheese and meat or something. So that's what I did, and then basically, about 6 months after or 8 months after that, my birthday actually, my 40th birthday, so last year, I just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna go carnivore," and I've been
Hmm.
doing it. And as soon as I went carnivore, it's funny, my body composition changed again, again in a
Really.
different, not just
Hmm.
weight loss, but it's like I got a better shape
Hmm.
overnight because it's like I don't know. I think it's almost like my body kind of repositioned a little bit of things, weight where you carry it. And if I'm really eating no carbs, it's like uber weight loss, right? It's like you kick it in overdrive, basically no
Hmm.
carbs. And also, like I said, I was going very low carb as well. Even keto, I was going like 10, 15 grams a day, sometimes zero carbs. Sometimes
Wow.
when I was keto, I was just not eating plants anyway because I was feeling like it was just filler. I still feel like that. It was just filler, right?
Hmm.
So as soon as I realized I went that 1 month and my digestion was great, I thought, well, I'm just forget the whole fiber thing. I don't care about that, right? I'm still taking a shit every day, no problem. And then so I did that for a while, and then yeah, and then now
Oh,
it's been,
you
geez,
might have
over a
froze
year.
up a little bit there.
Oh, you still there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here. Yeah, we're
Um,
good.
but yeah, and then basically it's been over a year now, and like I said, I feel good. I mean, it's funny. There's a lot of questions. Can you build muscle on it? Which I think are silly. If you're eating just beef, you're gonna ask me if I can build muscle. What are you fucking kidding me? You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like, of course you're gonna build muscle, right? But a lot of people think though you need carbohydrates for building muscle. You need insulin. It turns out you don't actually need. There's
And
other.
there's other things though, but like I mean, I get it that there's other people that could be listening into this and say, oh well, how about what about whoever? What about Matt Frazier? CrossFit, like the guy's amazing, but what about these people that are doing this? These CrossFit athletes or whoever. And this is the thing: is like, yeah, cool, that's what works for them. But I think the bottom line is like what we're talking about is it's not just the physical strength or the physical fitness or whatever. It's just like the clarity and the overall,
Yeah.
as corny as it sounds, like the balance and well-being. Like
Yep.
you're saying today, like I went and seen the osteo and it's like, yeah, I had a broken leg. Well, one of the things that helped fix this, I had a broken leg. I broke my leg
Wow.
be like I guess 3 years ago or something like that. Whatever.
Okay.
Spiral fracture, broke the side of the leg, the ankle was all messed up, whatever. It wasn't
Yeah.
even an exciting story. I didn't fall over or anything like that. It just happened. But oh, sorry,
Yeah.
I think it disconnected and came back on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, so that had happened, got referred to a specialist, this, that, and the other thing. I'm limping around and like forever, and it's just not getting better. And finally, after like I think it was a couple of years, that I
Really.
was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna maybe try and lay off booze. It was for 60 days, not that I was counting. But I
Yeah.
just didn't like not even a drop. I was like, all right, I'm just gonna just for me like try that because what I was going for was to get rid of inflammation. Sorry.
Yep.
So it's not just about booze. It was just like, hey, it's inevitable. I love I love beer. At the time I loved it a lot. And it was like, hey, if I give this up, it's probably gonna be less inflammation. And then at the same time came the keto thing. And it's like those two things together, it was like boom, like you
Nice.
said. So probably much like dropping like and changing your form from going, kind of few carbs here and there, or eating veg or eating whatever, going full carnivore. Maybe this is what it's like. Um, it just changed me. And by the time it was probably 6 to 7 months from the time that the specialist appointment was referred, because again, I'm still limping around for a couple of years after this break and
Wow.
ligament tears and whatever. And that's literally all I did is I changed my diet. And then I started because I couldn't run then. Like it was only after I started to be able to. So I changed my
Wow.
diet and I gave up booze for the period of time. When I went to see him, he said, hey, I don't know what you did between this time and that time, but the best advice I can give you is keep doing that and stay out of here. And I
There
was
you
like,
go.
really? And I'm not saying like that it's any kind of medical miracle and it's no BS. Like
Yeah.
it just that's legit what it was is just I lost the weight, which alleviated pressure on the ankle, and there was no more swelling because I'm not filling it full of a bunch of garbage that's going to
Yeah.
retain water and make me feel like dog shit. And that's what happened. Like it again, I'm no doctor, but it's like I know what happened to me, and I'm kind of a regular Joe. So it's like it's
Wow.
yeah, it works, right?
That's pretty profound. Yeah. And how's your leg now? It's fine?
That's good. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was the same one I got bit by the spider from. Your laugh, and I know you're gonna say it, but I might as well
We
bring it
got to
up.
we got to
That
talk about the story.
stupid
We have to bring it up.
freaking thing.
So okay.
Yeah,
So
bit by the spider. Just
tell
Google
us,
it.
when did
Just
this
tell them to
happen?
Google it. Google Nova Scotia man bit by spider, and there's like, oh, this guy claims that he was bit by a venomous spider. Anyway, what had happened is put on a pair of shorts that were bundled up in the closet, whatever. It was like summertime. We're going down to Fox Harbor to the family farm and stuff down there where we all gather in the summer, lots of times. And yeah, it's a 3-hour tour from here. And had to check the garden before I went. Throw on these shorts in the morning, whatever. I thought I felt something like kind of bite my leg, but it could have been anything. Could have been a mosquito. Could have been whatever. Just kind of swatted it off. Never seen anything to this day. Never seen nothing. And that was it. Started driving. Got a little itchy. I was like, I picked up some Benadryl. It's fine. It was probably just whatever. The next day it got worse and worse. Anyway, we were on this vacation there, and then yeah, it all goes south, and healthcare is garbage. But not just because of the way it is, right in Nova Scotia here. But yeah, so it's like by the time I get to see somebody, it's like, oh, emergency EKG, whatever. My wife's freaking out. We're in the hospital there in lovely Tatamagouche. It's a great spot. Go and visit Tata Brew here. Go and check them out. Not drinking a whole lot of Tata Brew on the keto, but hey, it's still delicious. But yeah, I went down there and it was a huge issue. It was like, body was trying to fight the infection off. It was like the lag looks ridiculous. Yeah. Nova Scotia man bit by spider. It's on CTV national news.
Yes. Post the link in the show notes.
That's I guess apparently my claim to fame. So it was terrible. Anyway, it's got a bunch of intravenous IV or intravenous antibiotics rather and took a bunch of pills for like 6 weeks, antibiotics, and it all eventually cleared up. But yeah, that was sort of the claim to fame, which is super embarrassing because
that's crazy.
That's it.
So you're okay now. But that was a couple years ago, right? It's 2017, you said?
Yeah.
And that was did they pretty much know it was like a brown recluse? Or?
Well, it was one doctor that I'd had in this specific hospital that he had apparently treated 1 or 2 other brown recluse bites. And that was the only mention, because people say, well, what happened? Like, to me, like, I don't know. I could have got bit by anything. But all I know is I'm not allergic to anything. I've been stung by hornets, bees, whatever. I've never had any issue, right? Like, grew up outside rolling around hay and whatever. Grew up on a farm, like no hay fever and all that crap. So to me, it was like, something foreign kind of gave me a little snip. And from what he's seen and the impact that it had on my leg, that was his assessment. And from there, that's how it kind of came out. So to me, it's like, hey, I don't know, could have been something else, but everybody claims it was a brown recluse spider. So
that's crazy, and they're pretty rare, right? I mean, they're around. They're very rare, aren't they?
Yes, I don't know, top 5. I think it's like top 5 most deadly. It makes me feel so cool when I say that. Hey, yeah, kids, guess what? Dad got bit by the top 5 most deadly spiders in the world. Like, yeah, here I am on CTV News.
Yeah, you think your boo boo hurts when you scrape your knee?
yeah. The funniest thing was like the news guy comes. They're like, oh hey, can we? They kind of guilted me into it too. It was they called and I'm like, listen, I don't want to make a big deal of this. Like, I don't want people to think like down here in Lunenburg County, it's like you're getting bit by a spider. Like, this is a great count. This is a great spot, right? Come visit. South Shore, Nova Scotia, Lunenburg County. Anyway, but he's like, listen, this could be a public safety announcement. He's like, can you do this for the public safety? And I'm like, you got me good. Anyway, I'm like, well, I don't know. He's like, I can be there in 5 minutes. I'm like, these guys are the exit. Like, because I don't live anywhere close to the city.
Yeah.
Comes down. Imagine that thing had bit you in the, and I'm like,
yeah,
I get it, buddy.
Sorry, buddy.
yeah. So anyway, that was it. But that was my claim to fame.
And that cleared up, but no lasting effects or anything, right?
No, not really. Other than not being able to fight infection too super well now, to be honest with you.
Wow, really? You got to watch a little bit. Yeah,
I guess. Yeah, but that was another thing. Again, is after that, and after that summer, it was just like I wanted, I want to be able to chase my kids around. I want to be able to run. I want to be able to do stuff, and it kind of like freaks you out. Like, I didn't think anything of it until all the medical staff were kind of freaking out. I'm like, okay, maybe this is a bigger deal than I thought. And it's like, that's how kind of quick things can happen, how scary stuff is, right?
Absolutely.
It sort of makes you think, like, you got one body, right?
Yep.
I have an Italian friend, Mike. Yeah, good hunting buddy of mine. He just turned 50 this year. Good
Oh,
on you, Mike. The
yeah.
guy looks like 30, right?
Oh,
Anyway, and
oh,
that's what he always says. He goes, "You got one of these." He said, "You got one of them." He said, "You got to treat it good," and
sure,
it's
man.
true. And we're all
That's
gonna
good
make mistakes,
advice
but
from Mike. That's
but
good advice from Mike.
that's what you got to do.
Yeah, buddy. Well, listen, man, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing, your experiences with me and my listeners and episode number 42 of Fatso Radio, my friend. Thank you again. Any
Oh,
uh,
no
any
problem.
any lasting words you can leave with our listeners? Any advice, anything that you can maybe that I don't say that you think, fuck, Carlo, you missed something. You should say this. Anything or
Yeah,
anything?
yeah. It'll tie back to the Ontario theme, and the first quote that I put in a newsletter. I was working at Flanagan Food Service in Kitchener. Got a job there with the boys, and the flanagram. I remember it was released, and they're like, "Oh, any words of wisdom or anything you got to say to people?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah. What I can tell you is, don't cook bacon naked. That's what it is. That's my
Well,
words of
that's
wisdom,
good.
Carlo."
That's good words. Thank you so much, my friend. And you have a good night, brother. And I'll talk to you very soon.
You too, big guy. Take care.